that's not right. There's 1,000 videos. I need to change this thumbnail. Yeah, 1,200. All right. I'm not sure if this audio is great. I have not done a live stream, everyone, in, let's see, let's actually go back and check the last live stream. God, 9 months ago. So there's a lot of things to go over. So let's see. Need to turn that down. Let's see. And I need to get Discord over here. And I got Discord turned off. Let's see. 3 a.m. where you are. Yeah, I'm an hour late. So you're still up. I need to upgrade and get more monitors. I've gotten spoiled at work. I got 3 monitors at work. There we go. My daughter said maybe this isn't the best time. Reconnection successful. All right. Probably need to have these side by side maybe. Let's get Discord here and here. You're waiting. Let's see. Hello, everyone. Okay. Let me let everybody know. At everyone. How's the volume? Everyone. Wasn't updating. Yeah, no, it's probably me. And I need to get. I haven't done one of these. Haven't made a video. Everyone, I'm live. Okay, yes, and that annoys me. Let's see. Let's make this. Oh my goodness. I can't remember which name you want to go by. That's not. As you can see, I did change the name because, so let's talk about the name change. All right, so we did spend a supermajority, and actually a lot of things have happened. How are you doing? Yeah, everybody's gonna have to reintroduce themselves because it has been, well, as you're looking right here, 9 months since the last live stream, and really probably over a year that I've really been I've been extremely overwhelmed. And maybe, how's the color? I feel like I'm red. I'm trying to get everything back settled right now. So feel like the hue is okay, but I'm not quite sure. So we'll give you an update on the job. So it's a complete, so you've changed back to a other name. All right. So got it. All right. So the data engineering job, that has been extremely interesting. And I'd say, so 2 things, I guess the YouTube channel, because I always forget that it is after one of my kids' birthdays, that it's anniversary, either the 18th or the 19th. And then, it deleted because someone edited their message and reported, oh, that's not good. Got deleted. Okay, that's rough. All right, so let's see. So I think the YouTube channel is 9 years old. Let me duplicate this. Give me a second, and we'll go and look. Let's see. No. Studio. Let's see. I think it's 9 years old. I don't want to show. Oh, they cleaned that up. Awesome. Lifetime. What is the beginning date? March 19th, 2017 is when the channel when I started the channel. And then now we're at 14,004 subscribers, which is nuts. And I have over 1 million total views. So let's just kind of talk about what I did with this and how I leveraged this and things like that. And why we're going to do more SQL and just rudimentary Python, because, and I don't really know this is going to be pretty rough. The volume is a bit low. All right, give me a second. Thank you for telling me that. Let me see if I can turn this up. Oop, I don't want to mute it. Properties. Yeah, I'm on the fence about going to get a new mic. Advanced properties. Here we go. I'm turning up the decibels. I don't know. I want to go slow. I don't want to overload anybody. But all right. Let me know how that is, and I'll hold it. I'll get it closer to my mouth too, and I will speak. And I will speak a little bit louder. Sorry, I just saw that spike, so I apologize. Let's get this. Is that a little bit better? And I'll be a little bit louder too. All right. Oh, so how I went about and what I did. So I had been doing data analysis and was using a lot of SQL. And so I'll kind of talk about why I changed the name of the channel, because I didn't know what I was going to do with the Python, but I really wasn't sure that I wanted to sit and program and build features and do things like that. And then I had an opportunity to become a data analyst. And that was probably the most interesting thing that I had done yet, because it was problem solving. And I guess I didn't really understand how much I liked puzzles, that I really, 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 and the work that I do now, because I support all of the developers on our team, and we are a data engineering team, an architect team, a modeling team. I work for, I want to be very careful, work for a financial institution, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I really don't want to expand upon that. I work for a financial institution, and we do some very interesting work. We deal with raw data coming in, and then we begin to work with business partners and work on reporting and supporting them in their needs of curiosity, regulatory needs, reporting wise, business reporting. All of these things go hand in hand, and being accurate is probably the most important part of. So I'll tell you what just happened the other day. Oh, I got to be careful. All right. We had worked on a project. I had worked on a project, and it came back, and everybody was freaking out because information, at first glance, it appeared that duplicate information was happening. Well, in the institution that I work in, we work with a lot of outside vendors, and we got this information. And so what I did is I don't freak out anymore, and I automatically assume that the information I'm being told is not entirely 100% accurate. So then what I do, but then I give it the respect that it deserves, and I go and begin to research what could possibly be going wrong. So I went from the problem that was visible backwards all the way through the source tables and began validating and began understanding. So when you're dealing with databases, I don't know. I never thought I was a data person, but I guess I was doing this, and it inadvertently became that way. And it's just, I love the job. It is so interesting. And I'm in charge of basically the packages, the projects themselves, how they get deployed, working through the pipelines and the jobs, and coordinating with the orchestration team that manages those jobs, and the interrelationships between all of these projects, from creation to deployment, and the problems that happen there in between, back and forth. Hey, I'm glad to be back. You'll have to remind me. So where is everybody? I know someone is maybe in Nepal, and I have a teammate who is from Nepal. He just traveled back over. Um, he was gone for a week and a half. But yeah, I've been very, very busy. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with the channel, but I know I didn't want to abandon it because it got me to where I am. So I leveraged. So for those of you who don't know, I leveraged this. Let me make sure I'm not showing anything I don't want to be showing. I leveraged this channel that got me really out of the warehouse and into a data analyst role, and showing my problem solving and just my curiosity. So that was actually a discussion that I had with one of the data governance leaders. He was like, how can we find, what would we be doing here? Okay, elaborate on that. Black, just kind of going through, wanting to share information. I don't know where this channel is going to go. I know when I used to do live streams last year, I guess starting a year and a half ago, that I really want to focus on data and data engineering, because I really see it becoming a normalized skill. I really believe that, because I believe everybody, it's unbelievable in my institution how many people are acquiring, because we've moved to Databricks, and I'm I'm one of the admins for our Databricks environment for our entire financial institution. And that kind of blows my mind, because I was, in my old role, I was in charge of this teeny tiny area inside of Walmart. Now where I am, I'm in charge of this entire environment, the entire medallion architecture of databases, and the decisions that I make of where information goes. Am I that far behind? Hang on a second. Let me see if I can where'd my mouse go? Let me see if I can get this caught up. All right, there we are. I'm live. Oh, is my volume better? Is it any better? Okay. Let's see. Somebody made the comment that it shouldn't be showing the URL. I don't know if that's exactly true, but I could not believe how many. I think I did a live stream every day for 7 months, and it was nuts. Yeah, that was nuts. It kept me busy, kept me motivated, and let's see, volume's fine. Purple, maybe a little bit louder. Okay, if I get much louder, I may be starting to yell, and I don't want to be doing that. But here, I'll get this even a little bit closer. Let me check OBS. Test. All right, I'm still green. Yeah, I kind of see that. Let me raise this up a little bit more. Properties. No, okay. Advanced properties. Let me raise this up. Let me go 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's go 5 decibels up. Yep. I think that should be a little bit louder. All right, volume setting. Okay. Oops, don't want to do that. All right. Let me go back to chat over here. Okay. All right. So what are we talking about? We're talking about oh, where I see the channel going, because we're gonna be much more focused on SQL. Let's see. Let me look at this lighting. How do I look really red? Because I maybe need to work with the backlighting. Okay, I think this is okay. All right, let's go back over here. We're going to be doing a lot more SQL. Awesome. All right, thank you. We're going to be doing a lot more SQL, and we're going to be talking about, well, basically just problem solving and how and what, following a detail and moving through. I cannot express that enough, and not following a hunch, which is weird. You want to investigate and you want to be curious, but if you follow the hunch too much, the top of your head looks sunburnt. Yeah. I think that is the lighting. I was out in the sun last weekend, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it's just the red of the way that I have the pigment of the camera. Can you want to turn that light off? I'm going to see. Oh, I do look red? Okay. Let me see. My daughter was. Okay. Ooh, that looks yellow. Turn that back on. Hang on.
What?
Can you? Yeah, actually, I think so. Can you guys hear my daughter in the background?
Hi, guys.
Okay, I don't know how much the delay on the chat is. So, I'm pretty sure if they hear you, they'll let me know. Yes, I have a strong feeling. Let me get over. All right. Okay. Where were we? Thank you for doing that, Gabster. Oops. You guys didn't hear that. Somebody said hi, daughter. All right. Let's see. Where did we leave off? We left off with following your hunch, following the trail of. So I'll tell you. Oh, I can't talk too much in detail about that. So SQL, I love column. I didn't know how much I loved columns and rows, and the way that the data worked, and the way that you join, columns. And because one of the things that came up is that we were saying that we had duplicate rows, and sometimes that happens with data because you can overjoin, or the way that you can pull stuff down and you can send it. Well, the way that I validated it was I went and I took their information and I started with that it was factual, but I didn't allow myself to become overwhelmed believing too much and stressing me out and not being thorough. So what I did then is I took the information, because what they were saying was that it was duplicated. So I went to one of the unique identifiers and I just looked for duplicate rows, duplicate keys, and we had a unique identifier. And I said, okay, this is coming in and it's 100% unique. So then what I did is I went to the source table and I checked to make sure. And what I did is I took all of the unique keys and I ran it back through to validate my curiosity. Now, I didn't invent that. I had one of my first project managers that I had when I was at Walmart was a very smart lady, and that was her superpower. We spent more time validating than anything, and that actually taught me to be at first I thought she was challenging me, but what she did was she taught me best way to prove your point. So if you're right, it's kind of like a research paper. So if you're right, prove it. So what we did is we spent more time, and we always presented something, an output that was accurate, and then it built up our credibility. And we knew that because we were charging vendors so much money, and now where I am, the data has to be accurate. So you have to be able to prove your point, be able to go in, take the source tables, understand them, because the project that I was working with at Walmart, it was barcodes, and the modeling, now that I look at it, was atrocious. And I built a little application, and I didn't realize, it was so funny during this whole process when I was looking for a job, I did not realize that I was doing, well, here, how about we go back and start over? I did not realize that I was a data engineer. I thought modeling, this is how naive I was. And don't get hung up on job descriptions. Get into the guts and the weeds of what you're actually doing, because that is entirely more interesting than everybody, because my team is as guilty as doing catchphrases or cliches. Everybody is. But make sure you're staying focused on the work, because I actually just had this conversation. Had to have a meeting with one of our core group of developers who are working on some very high level projects, and they were off process. So I've been shocked of how much my old life comes from being process oriented and defining a process, and how much that pairs with creativity and problem solving. So I say all that to say this, that there was a story and there was a writer. So when I think programmer, I think stale and maybe rigid. And then I changed my mind, and I'm like, actually, I think you're very creative, because you have to solve a problem. And then I was like, oh my gosh, so I don't think you should be that rigid, because if you're rigid, you'll kill all your creative juices. Well, then I heard this story from this writer, and he is extremely rigid in his day. And I guess actually, now that I think about it, there was a Big Bang Theory episode about this. And it was, remove all the rudimentary decisions in your day so you could use them for your creative problem solving. And Eric Schmidt, I stole this term from Eric Schmidt, the first CEO of Google. He referred to the developers or the engineers, or insert person who wrote code, insert title, and it was smart creative. And I love that term, because that is extremely accurate and descriptive. Now, also, there's tons of positive skill traits, and there is a ton of negative skill traits, and you have to be aware of the negative skill traits and protect them and embrace the strong ones. But where I'm going with this is back to the writer, about the creative piece of his personality. To save his energy, his emotional energy, his creative energy, what he did is he ate the same thing every day. He wore the same kind of clothes every day. This is Chip from sales, website down, obscure reference. What? Did you say, hi, this is Chip? I don't think I did. Scotland. Awesome. Love it. Love it. What time is it there? So if it's 9:45 Eastern and we did the time change, are you you 5 or 6 hours ahead. So it's Zulu time, Greenwich Mean Time. But that is awesome. Glad you're here, because we're going to be changing the direction in of this channel. Going to be focusing on what I'm kind of thinking of, like changing careers, midlife change careers, because that's what I did. Yeah, I remember Purple was saying that we were 3 a.m. where he is. He's mid to East Asia, if I recall correctly. Scotland is Greenwich Mean Time or Zulu time. I'm trying to think of the other ZTU. I believe Scotland's in that. There's a huge swath that Greenwich Mean Time takes over. I think it is very large. I actually heard a very interesting, and we'll get back to the smart creative and the skill sets that I was talking about. Let's see. Heard an idea that I had not heard before, was to take the United States and make 2 time zones. Go all the way over to the Romania. No, I did not remember you being from Romania. I completely forgot. I knew a couple of my admins are in, one is maybe in very far east and one maybe Central Europe. I forget. Okay. Have not checked on either one of those, because again, not doing my very good job. But let's see. Smart creative. So what this gentleman was doing is, his argument was, he was removing all of these decisions that he was making during the day, and then that energy was not being dispersed, and he was able to use it to write. And I was like, that is so interesting, where it's a complete contradiction. And I love counterintuitiveness. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything that looks, smells, feels like anything that's counterintuitive. And then I try to lean into it. So when you're struggling with something and it's like, this feels like the opposite. And my first experience was with my younger son, my middle child. I didn't invent it, but slow down to speed up. We were working on stuff, and I want to say sight words or reading or something like that. And it dawned on me that and it's just like process in manufacturing or in warehousing or in any KPI management measurement, where what waste and rework are you doing? What are you doing over and over again that you could do right the first time? The Pareto curve, all of those things go together. They're in absolutely everything. And so when you begin to do everything right the first time, and I could spend days talking about the psychological effect of removing mistakes, because then you make less mistakes. So by making sure that you do it right the first time, you will then in turn the next time you do it will be more likely that you'll do it correct, because you won't think about doing it wrong, or you won't make that mistake again, or you'll have the confidence to make sure that you go about doing it the right way. All of these things compound and build upon it. But now let's actually talk about like changing careers midlife. So I spent 23 years at Walmart, 20 years in a distribution center. So I was, for 13 years, I lose track. So I said I was going to start to write this down, because I think I made a post of this. Started learning Python at 36. Then I became a data analyst at 45. Changed careers at 45. I got promoted in Yeah, I got promoted when I was 38. Yeah. So I need to go and write this down. So I spent 13 years moving boxes around. 2 a.m. there? Okay. All right. Interesting. Spent 13 years moving boxes around through a building. Spent 7 years managing teams moving boxes through a building. And I was completely unaware of the attention to detail that all of those things fed into for problem solving and validation, and how much data went into the analysis. I remember the first cool thing that I noticed, and that actually helped me get noticed for my last job. So I'll talk about this for a minute. And then we'll maybe look at some SQL here. I don't know. Maybe we'll go and pull up some, Oh yeah, I was trying to set up my what do I shoot? Oh, we can talk about this for a second. Yeah, hang on. Do I have anything that shows who I am here? I don't think so. I think I've answered this one before. This should probably help with the lighting too. Let's see. Is this lighting a little bit better? Oh, and my daughter said that my scalp does look a little sunburned. That feels like that looks a lot better. All right. And you guys can see this. So we can talk about this SQL here in a minute and what we're doing. But let's go back and talk about, let's see that. Currently on Greenwich Mean Time, but going to spring 1 hour forward tomorrow. Oh, you guys, see, I thought the US was the only one that did the spring and the fall, because I had heard that we were just weird. But I'm always told that we're weird. Yeah, I actually met I think she's Irish. But had a couple conversations with somebody that was with Microsoft, and she was outside of London, and I think I was following her on LinkedIn, and she left, and she started her own company. I think that happens quite a bit. I wonder what percentage of people leave their software engineering role, because I don't believe a lot of people spend an entire career in software. I think it's an interesting effect. I think it burns a lot of people out. But let's talk about a couple more things, and then we'll go into this. We'll unpack this SQL right here. And once I began to understand how you could go about and what you can solve with SQL, with information, and how information is tracked, because data modeling in and of itself, there's a whole subset with architecture, and it's like, well, what do you want to track? How do you want to track it? What are you going to do? Oh my gosh. And then you start getting into, what are you going to do when it changes? How are you going to track the changes? Boom. And then you have slowly changing dimensions. When I first learned, and that was actually, I did not realize what I was doing and how I was doing it, but I was doing very complex data modeling. Actually, let's talk about modeling for a second, and that I was doing it, and the job description, and how I figured out that I was a data engineer, because it was so embarrassing that I was like, because I do not care about data visualization. I don't. I don't need to see it, so that's why I'm not a good fit with it. I can see it in my head. So, and that's one of my huge negatives. If I don't think it's important, or if there's something like in my essence, it is hard for me to care about it. That is one of my huge negatives, and that affects every aspect of my life. If I don't think it's important, it is very hard for me to make it important. And I try to, like, if somebody tells me, hey, this is important, I go, okay, I'm going to try my very, very best to make this important. But it's like in my soul, it's like, I can't, because it's either maybe I can already do it and I don't need that extra step. Like like, oh, okay, let's go back to my first crazy analytic problem that I solved. So when I was in the warehouse, back in the warehouse, and I was a manager, and I was in charge of very large teams. Um, the largest team I had over 100 people on it. That's a lot of people. It is hard to make connections, and it is hard to get people to buy in on what you're wanting to do. It's very, very challenging. So we had an accuracy problem, data quality. Just insert X. So we had an accuracy problem, and when I say accuracy, I mean the wrong cases being grabbed out of the slot or the wrong quantity. So what I did is the one that was easier was wrong slot. You just go, hey, I don't want you calling your check digit, because there was a back and forth. There was a validation step of you would get told what slot to go to, then you would get sent to that slot, and then you would have a check digit that you verbally read off, and you were told then how many to pick from it. Well, what was happening is the order fillers weren't standing directly in front of it. And I said, hey, you've got to stand in front of it, call it off, or it's going to be too many options, because it's human memory. So that was easier to do. That was more, hey, let me show you something that can go wrong. And people were like, oh, awesome, because it affected them. Now here's the one that was more subtle, and I loved that I figured this out. And it was more, not that I figured it out, but I discovered a personality trait in humans. So what I found out is a secondary problem. We also had damages in the slot. So cases were falling off. So what was happening was the individuals were going, and it's a thing called layer picking. So nobody thinks about counting cases. It's so dumb. But what I did is I realized that people who were not layer picking the pallet down layer by layer, so you could actually when you come up to it, think about like a Lego set. So juice boxes. I remember the first High C fruit punch. The way that they set is there were 9 cases per layer, and then 9 by 5. So 45 cases on a pallet. And I just knew that because I used to unload them. So I knew every time that I had to see how many, so the counts that I had on my sheet, it was divisible by 45. And then I started to learn those increments, and I knew how many pallets I had. So it's just multiplication. So what I noticed was order fillers were coming up, and they were calling off all of the cases and then grabbing them and trying to remember. And one of the things that I figured out was I got the same answer when they weren't layer picking, and they also had errors when we went to the QA area. I did not notice. And I was like, this cannot be this simple. That it's I just wasn't paying close enough attention. And that's literally all it was. So what I did is I said, look, I just want you to go layer by layer. So if it's 7 and there's 2 here, and if you go down and you just count every single layer, you'll never make a mistake. And that was the most interesting thing that I had. Oh, I got a buffer error. Hang on. Receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Such viewers experience buffering. Open widget. Let me see. Ooh, the health of the stream is bad. So give me a second. Let me see if I can do anything on my end. Crap, I don't think so. Stream health is bad. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, it says Crap. Can I buffer anything? I wonder if can I pause it? Okay. There we go. Looks like it's back. Okay. So that was so there was this gentleman that I met. He came in and he was helping us with processes. And that was one of the first stories that I told him that what we were improving, and that caught his eye. And then something came up about what do I do? And I said, oh, well, I'm teaching myself programming. Oh, that's interesting. And I said, oh, and I have a YouTube channel. He's like, wait a minute, what? So he and I talked about my YouTube channel, and he tracked it. He watched every so often, so that when he moved to Bentonville, he was with us here where I am. And he was getting promoted, and he was building these teams to improve quality throughout all of Walmart's logistics. And they couldn't find somebody who knew the warehouse and was good enough, could write good enough Python for what they needed. So it was a two thing. So the people that they could get to write Python didn't know anything about the warehouse. And you're like, why do you have to do that? Because it's just, you can't problem solve if you don't know this stuff. So I was good enough at both. And that's how I was able to transfer and be really, really good at this job. And I was curious, and I loved problem solving, and I loved helping the business. So I was really good at following and validating issues that came through. So, all right, I know I've rambled on for quite a while. How long have I been on? 43 minutes. So actually, let's go through and let's do some SQL here. So there's a lot going on here. So let's talk about what this problem is, and this is a great problem. This is ridiculously challenging. So you're not going to start here and be able to just write stuff like this, because I still recommend learning Python first and then learning SQL, because order of operations is vital for SQL and data analytics, data analysis, and then the more boring stuff, but it's still, I love it. Building out pipelines and orchestration. And because then when you write your SQL, then you have to coordinate it and get it to work in the proper order that you want it to for the issues that you have. So then you have to go and write YAML files, and you write those in Python. So literally the things that I was learning on my path got me to the job that I have right now. And then my overall curiosity and problem solving got me to this admin role where I'm managing is too strict of a term, monitoring and facilitating deployments and project creation and working with business and validating huge tables for institutions for reporting for regulatory needs. So, all right, let's talk about what we need to do, what this output needs to have happen. So we are wanting to find the department's top 3 salaries. So the wording on that is actually very tricky. So let's pay attention to exactly what this is saying. Oh, and you have a fact table and you have a dimension table. So we can talk hours about that. So what is a fact table? Fact table is basically records. Dimension tables are who, what, when, where. No. Who and what. When and where. When and where are. I need to come up with that because I don't have to. So a fact table is like identifying me. And when it's like, here's a perfect example. Think about like an access badge. Let's see, you're doing a great job. Along front. Okay. No, don't really sure, but glad you're here. So, okay. So think about like my identity and my badge, and I'm moving through a building. So you would have me, anything that describes me, and then my badge ID. And so, for all intents and purposes, the unique identifier there, or the primary key, would be my badge ID. And then you would have the fact table of all the times and the locations where my badge ID was swiped. So as you're moving through, then you would join on that primary key and the foreign key of the badge ID to see the activity of everybody. So let's look at what this is. So we have a table of employee and a table of department. And what we need, and you can also then have you can join two dimension tables to each other to get more information. So in this instance, we have, and then you have inside of that, you have the schema, and then you have the format of the attributes or columns and all of these things. But once you start to get into this and start to feel it, it's just such an interesting, I don't know. I did not know how much I was going to love love data engineering like I do. But and then I'll talk about how all the live streams helped me in my job interview that got me this job, because I was the only one that answered all of the questions accurately, and my scenario was bananas. And I mean, only these things happen to me. They used to drive me nuts, but that also means I'm the only one that's experienced it, so I know all of that. So it's kind of like a badge of honor. So all right, let's go through what this actually wants to have happen. So I'm going to get how about we look at this? So I have employee table, and we have an ID, we have a name, we have a salary, we have a department. Aha. So all of these are important. So let's go back over what the ask is. I want the top three employees, top three salaries of each department. So we're going to get let me rephrase that. Let me talk about that for a minute. And because understanding exactly, because probably most of my job now is communication. What do you mean? There's an old politician in the United States that there is a court recording, and he goes, "What is your definition of is?" And I laugh about that because in my last job, my first project manager was like, "What is your definition of 95%?" And when you start to look at this and you examine, it's the peanut butter and jelly sandwich exercise all over again. And I'd love to do that at a later time. But let's unpack this. So it's like, okay, I want the top, who are the individuals that have the top three salaries in each department. Now, let's think about that for a second. And there are functions that are already floating around in SQL, just like they are in Python and other programming languages. So one of the main tools that you're going to utilize is the row number. And there is a specific syntax of how you go about utilizing that. So row number that has a use case. Then there's rank, that has a use case, and then there is this dense rank. And they each have, it's just like a tool. So you wouldn't use a saw to put two things together. You would use a hammer and a nail or some sort of other clamping device or screws. So each tool out there has a job for a specific role. Now, the dense case, The reason why we're using the dense case here is you could have people with the same salary, correct? So there is with dense rank, you can get multiple. It's like you have ties. So dense rank is used for ties. Rank is used, you get non-ties. So if you had 3 first place ties, you'd have 3 firsts, then you wouldn't have second, third, or fourth. Hang on, you got 3, so that it would jump to 4. So if you had 3 ties for first place, you'd take up second, third, and then so the fourth instance would be the 4th place. So for rank, you would get 4. So you would skip. So if you had 3 firsts tied for first, you would not get all of those rankings. So now, this part is so interesting to me because this is called a CTE, Common Table Expression. Why can I highlight this? There we go. All right. So in SQL, this is going to be hard to explain if you have no experience with SQL. It's basically, I want to take an intermediary result. Think about a nested function, and you go and you're going to call a function, and then you're going to call another function. So one of the perfect examples that I think I did in one of my old videos was, if anybody's used Blockly before, it's very similar to that. So it's like, I'm going to create, here's a perfect example. I'm going to create, this is the top and it's also the bottom. So I would create this text that would be, and I would end up calling it 3 times. So now in SQL, there are 2 versions of this. Or there 3? We'll just stick with 2. There's multiple ways you can do it, but we're going to stick with these 2. So there's a thing called a subquery where you can actually create a table, then refer to it later. So in SQL, that's where this gets very, very powerful. You can create an output and then reuse that output as a table like this. Now, I prefer CTEs, Common Table Expressions, because if I needed to, I could reference this entire output table down here multiple times. In a subquery, I could have all of this sit right here, but then I wouldn't be able to use it again. It would be a one and done. It's like reading a file, opening a file and reading it once and then saying read it again. It's like, well, you just had me read it. There's anything else to read. But if I were to open up the file, store everything in a variable, and then I could reference anything in that variable over and over and over again, that's the equivalent of a CTE. So now let's talk about this, because this probably took me months and months to get halfway decent at this. And I'm only now getting, after 4 years of using SQL, getting pretty good at this, because this doesn't make sense from our Python brain. We're calling this function and we're sitting it out here by ourselves and then working on the syntax of this partition over. What time okay, Denzel. My bad. Oh, you can put it back in there. Let's see. It is 10:15 where I am. Let's see. What time did I start? I started 55 minutes ago. And just kind of getting back in the groove, but glad you're here. If we've met before, I apologize. I don't remember if this is our first time. It's nice meeting you. Let's see. Notification. Do I have? Oh, I think I got to work on the thumbnail. There's some spacing. There's some spacing issues. I don't think it's filling out everything. Let's see. Let me go back to, and you guys can, if you've not joined, you can join over on Discord. I think we have some people over there watching some stuff. And okay, you've recently learned Java. That's cool. We're not going to do any Java here, but that's awesome. All right. So let's see. Now talked about the foreign key and the primary key. So this. Oh no. Sorry. This dense rank. So it's like, where do I want to partition by? What do I want to track as my identifier? How do I want to split these up? So I want to split them up or group them. So there's so many little nuances to SQL, and what really helped me was I would go and you have a way to do it by hand with Excel. So I would output everything. So I started learning this in BigQuery. BigQuery is okay. I use Databricks now. Much. Well, I mean, it's a data platform, so of course it's going to be bigger. BigQuery has its pluses and minuses, but Databricks is just really phenomenal and really powerful. But SQL. But you can also bring in PySpark, and it can do some really powerful things and build cluster engines. Yeah. Okay. All right. I digress. Sorry. I'm pretty nerdy and I really like this stuff. All right. So what we're doing is we're basically saying, I want you to group by the department number, because we want to look at inside a department, and then I want you to be ranking these inside the department, because that's what we care. We want the top 3. Then the order by is, well, okay, how are we going to rank these? It's like, we're going to dense rank because I can have some duplicates. It's like the questions you want to ask. It's like, can I have duplicates? Yes. Do I care about the duplicates? Yes. Dense rank. Okay. Where are we going to be splitting this up? Okay. Because I care about the departments, and then how we're going to rank them. What are we going to rank inside the departments? How are we going to rank them? That's what you are doing by this over partition by. And then now this gets important. So we care about the salary, and then we want to do it descending. So I want the top 3. So the highest number. It defaults to ascending, and you don't need to type in ascending, but you can for if you need to see it. But it automatically defaults to ascending. So we want these in reverse order. So I want them sorted from the highest number down to the lowest number. That's basically how we want to go about that. Hello. CVS and Deep. I'll just call you CVS. We have a CVS down the way. All right. Stream's poor, so give me a second. Dual stream is new. Hang on the widget. I'm having some internet issues at the house, so I apologize, everyone. All right, let's go back here, and there we go. Oh, the widget is saying it's really bad. All right. So this is what I'm ranking. Now, what I really want is I need the department, and I also, because I want to know who. So right now I'm doing this on the department ID, but I really care who. So I have the department, and it just has the department name and the department ID. And then over here we have, oh, look at this, department ID. So this is literally what we're going to join these on. Now, this is where it gets a little goofy with SQL, and it takes a minute to really understand. So my from is what table, and I'm aliasing it right here. You can leave off the as. I don't recommend it when you're learning, because this can get cluttered. And I like this clean, hard break for our eyes because it changes the color setting. So you get more seasoned people, they'll leave off the as, And for myself, being extremely dyslexic, that space will blend in because here, I'll show you. That's legal. But sometimes I don't see that space. But you know what I do see? That as. And that jumps straight out at me. Just bookends this table, and this is E. So then I have E right here, department ID, and I'm joining it to ID here. Department as D on. It's like I want you to think about we're zipping these two tables together right here, and we're extending these to this. So every row I have for 1, I would extend this and put 1. So I'd have 1 over here for each one that would match up, and you'd have 1, and then over here it would be 1 IT, 2 sales, 2 sales, 1 IT, 1 IT, 1 IT. Okay, so that's the way this works right here. So we may add a star here. Actually, you know what? Screw this. We're going to add. Now, you're going to have an entire group. It's almost like tomato. I prefer to lead with the comma because if you comment things out, you can. Yeah, okay. Let me see if this works in their editor. Nope. Okay. All right. But as you can see, I have a leading comma. And because if I wanted to exclude this, then I go here, comment this out. I'm going to show you this. So if you had the trailing commas, then you would need to come up here, comment out the comma here, and comment this out. This is why I prefer, because as you're building this by trial and error, you're going to be commenting things out constantly. So now, all right. Now the reason why we have to do this is because, let's see here. Let's bring this back in. And let's comment this out, and I'll show you. Let's bring in what this actually does. Is this not commenting this out? You have an error because what? Okay. Runtime error. That should have worked. All right, we're going to do this way. We're just going to delete it. There, rerun this. All right, so as you can see, let's go through this. So here's your output. This is expected. So I have top 4 because sales only had 2 people. So it's still less than 3. And then, because we had a tie right here, tie and tie, they're both in second place, but there's also a third place. But we also don't want Janet on 4th. So we're going to add this back and look at this thinking through where top 3 is less than or equal to 3. So again, I could do this a variety of ways. Less than 4. Let's look at this. Less than 4. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I think I did a video way back when on yeah. Let me yeah. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I think I did a video back in my straight up Python days. There we go. Bingo. My straight up Python days. I said print out 3, but you can't use the number 3. And there were actually some very creative ways of doing that. I think what I did is I did the len on Sam. So what's the len on Sam? And we got 3. And then I think everybody else did. There were some that did. I think one of the I knew I'd get 1 + 1 + 1 again. I does not have a 3. I think somebody did like some binary and then added it up. Yeah, it was like 0 1 0 1 0 1. Then stripped those, turned that into it was cool. I was took that binary, turned it into a string, then pulled all those out, and then added up all the ones, and then added it. Yeah, turned it into a string, split it, turned them all back into integers, and then added it up. That was it. I did a sum on that as a number. I was like, that was pretty cool. But again, however you want to go about seeing this in your head to get the information and then boiling it down to only the information you want. Now this took me embarrassingly much longer than it needed to be. That this is here. I think I had a coworker. She's like, "Why do you have this there and then you're removing it?" Because I think I did another CTE. As long as this is present in this table, you can filter it. You do not need to bring it in. I guess that was one of the obscure lessons that was missed in all of my SQL work, because again, I came from Python and programming and those skills. Order of operations is the most transferable skill between Python and SQL, because of like for loops, how to get certain things, like to count down and then blast off, and you're inside the loop, stop, go outside the loop, boom, have this last order of operations happen. The thing that I took to very, very quickly, and it was kind of in this validation thing that happened last week, was like in Python, you'll get an output and you may not expect it. In SQL, if the data is not there, it won't come out. So you can't accidentally create data. So if it's not present, it won't be there. You can't there isn't any other way to put that. You can't create data. So what I love is they're like, no, that's wrong. That's not supposed to be there. Well, it's in the table. I'm querying it. I'm pulling it out of the table. I'm not creating this. Now, you can, there's a caveat to that. You can overjoin. I call it overjoining. I think there's a more classy term and a proper term in SQL to when you, it's like joining explode. I've heard one of my teammates use the proper term, but when you don't have enough joins when you don't have enough ons, you can get too much data. You can get it can just expand. So when you start to join on more columns, you're getting more accurate information. Let's see. Oh, sure. I have now. This can get overwhelming pretty quickly. So take your time. So do I have courses? What is that? Wow. Junior versus senior. I don't remember that at all. I did one. So I have these in a variety of layouts. Let's see. I think I did homework here on the data camp IO, data expert IO. Yeah, that guy is really good. I recommend starting here with me with the basics, and once you do that, go over and see Zach, because he is light years above me still. And I even wonder where he lands with the architect that I work with, because there's some, yeah, because I'm beholden to them on I'm getting better with modeling, but architecture, I know I have gaps, but I'm learning immensely. So there is, as you can see, I have tons and tons and tons of playlists. I think I call it Getting Started. Hang on. Yep, Getting Started. Here we go. Let's see. Where's share? We'll just copy this. Okay. That's the first. That's the very first one, and I did it out of order. Yeah, 8 years old. Eight years. Man, that's nuts. That's crazy. Actually, no, it's going to be 9, because this is, how old is this? Because so the first video, please don't make me go watch the first video. Please don't do that. That would be, yeah, 9 years old, signing a string. I did not architect this very well. I did not think this through. As you can see, I am glad that I numbered these, because I would have deleted this forever ago. What is the most popular? Let's see. This is nuts. Random seed method. Well, I appreciate that. I wish the algorithm knew that. I greatly appreciate that. I do. I spent a lot of time. Well, I'll just tell you the background of this. This YouTube channel forced me to learn. So I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. There were videos that I did that I had just learned the day before or days before. And that forced me to continuously learn. And I don't know if this group knows, but I recorded a video a day for a year, 365 days. And it was back when I was doing my job in the warehouse. And it was very, very challenging, but I thought I was thinking about, how can I make this bigger than me? How can I ensure that I'm going to push myself and grow? Because I could not, just like everybody else, it's the same journey. It's like, what do I want to build? How am I going to learn? How am I going to push myself? Because that's what you have to do. You have to have something that is going to push yourself to continue to learn. And there wasn't anything that I wanted to build. And it was just like, okay. But then then I had to create a stock screener that had a certain algorithm. And that's also one of the things that I became very good with, was algorithmic design. Repeating, taking a human's decision and creating it with logic, with either SQL or Python, which ended up being, I think I was doing it with I did it with pandas, because so I was using stock screeners to pull down and go through data, and I had an Excel sheet, and I was going back and I was like, this is stupid. I'm losing all of this back and forth. So I was taking an old output sheet and then using it and comparing. So I had to figure out how to go, and that pushed me into it. So a variety of things is, find something that you're really passionate about, that you really love, and then incorporate programming in some way to it. So I loved the stock market. I loved doing the research for companies and the data in which it had, which that was also one of the selling points that I had when I interviewed for the last job, was that I showed everything that I went through and how I had to overcome and how I had to problem solve it. And then also I built other courses. One of them was for Oh my gosh. Cody Tech. I haven't reached out to any of those. I haven't heard anything back from. It was an Indian company. Um, was it Code Dam? It was Code Dam, I think, was one of them, and then the other was another company in Europe that I built some courses for. So I recommend. I cannot say enough. I recommend people tracking their journey on YouTube because it's it's accountability. And I forget. Here, let's go latest. We could go back and look. And I forget that there was a gap that I did not produce any, because it's hard. This is extremely challenging. I mean, it's 1,000 plus videos. That's a lot of work. Well, of course, it's 9 years old, but 365 of them were done in 1 year. Because how that came to be is I realized that I think I was getting a subscriber for every 2 videos. Now, granted, I just picked that uh, metric, and I doubt it. I was not sure that was actually going to be it, but it got me. I was constantly on more videos were popping up, and then also let's see. I don't know if we picked up any new. Oh, and then also let's see. I picked up a couple subscribers tonight. Um oh, what is I live streamed for another platform. So, and they have a ton of views of my stuff. Oh, who is that? I cannot remember to save my life. Shows you how important that was to me that I remember. No, I didn't do any forex at all. That I don't get that. I'm also of the Warren Buffett model. If you don't get it, you shouldn't do it. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying make sure you get it. So, and I think I spoke to that earlier in the live stream, that's one of my huge negative personality traits. You can ask anybody who knows me. Was that if I don't get it, it's really hard for me to get on board. It just is. It just is. So actually, I was just looking here. This just say yes. I was trying to say yes to any and everything. I was going on podcasts. I hate going to meet people. I hate going to lunch with people. It is so awkward. So there were friends of friends. There were friends of my dad. Anyone and everyone was trying to get me in front of people to meet somebody. And so I was going to lunches. I was going to meetings. I was going to podcasts. I was on phone calls. I was doing odd interviews. I was saying yes to absolutely everything, and it was an interesting experience for those 3 months. Cannot say that enough. But let's see, where can I go? Gosh, yeah. Look at these double pointer. Oh my gosh, the leak code challenges. Yes. Oh my God, what? I can't remember. I don't even remember doing these. Moving zeros. I don't remember any of these. That is crazy. One last question. No, what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to share my journey and get people to understand. Oh yeah, plot. Okay, yeah. Tried to figure out if I wanted to do machine learning. Yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't know that I had been an engineer, and this was 7 years old. Yeah, the channel is 8 years old now. Yeah, fitting, overfitting. So I was learning these basically right in sync as I was building this. You could probably tell if you go back and watch it, you could probably tell that I was very, very careful of how I was explaining things. And I loved this. And this was my first big problem that I solved. And I solved it from, it was the MIT Python introductory course. But all right, and it was chicken nuggets, and I love it. Either the nth prime number or the chicken nugget. These are the two that took me forever. And one, how to figure out a prime number. How do you explain in human brain what a prime number is? Then what in the world is? How do you write it in Python? And then counting up chicken nuggets. It was output the number, any combination of the 6, 9, and 12 from McDonald's of how to get 50 nuggets to 101 nuggets. Well, yeah, I'm almost 50 years old, so yes, I hope that I have generational knowledge. But yes, I have kids that are probably y'all's age, and there's just so much that I have in my head that I'm trying to share. And what I really want to help individuals who are mid-career, if they think that they cannot change, they can't. I promise you can, because if I can do it, anybody can. 25,000 hours. I cannot remember all of these. This is nuts. Yeah, I think I did this. What are you afraid of? And then 6 years. This is crazy. Let's see. And then this other problem, the Monty Python problem. I remember my kids were in school, and there's a Monty Hall problem. This is probably one of the most interesting ones. And you could then prove it. You could prove the math right with writing a program. So the Monty Hall problem is it's 3 doors. There is the prize behind one door, and 2, he put goats behind the other 2. And what the host did is the host knew, or the creator, whomever, knew human nature, that what you got the option to do was, because it was a car and 2 goats, and you would pick a door, they would show you a door that of course wasn't yours, that then had a goat behind it. And then you would get posed the question, do you want to keep your door or do you want to switch doors? And your instinctive human brain goes, oh, it's a 50-50 chance now, so I'm not going to second guess myself. I'm going to keep my door. That's actually wrong. You still have your 3 doors. You have a 33% chance of guessing when you pick that door. Now, if you switch doors, it doubles. Your odds of winning the car go up to 66.6%. And I could not believe that. It did not sound right. But when you start saying it enough, it does make sense. So I wrote a algorithm to test that, and it's 100% accurate. So one of my son's math teachers, they had him do the math to prove it the longhand way. And then what I did is, she said, hey, can you come in and write a program to do this for us? And I was like, absolutely. So we spent 2 class days writing this algorithm out and proving with a program, algorithmic design, that it is better to change doors. Now, here's one of my other all-time favorites. I guess I have a ton of all-time favorites. This right here was, how many seat combinations are in a stadium? And I was like, wait a minute, what? So I created a system, and it was for zeros were unoccupied seats and ones were occupied seats. So as you can see, you have, and you could change and go through like that. So this is when I started to realize that I had some sort of capabilities of algorithmic design. SQL Part 13 subquery. Gosh, when did I do this? Oh wow, that's actually back when I would have had my other job, and I was actually going through. So I found a book by somebody that I had, who was a data scientist that I had been following online and on Twitter. And she had a book of how SQL for data science or something like that. So I went and ordered her book, and it was fantastic. I would actually tweet to her, and she would give me a response, and she helped me find out. I was like, hey, I'm working on this and I can't figure out how to do it. And it was before GPT was out. So I was constantly scouring Substack, anything like that, just trying to get these answers. And then if I got really, really stuck, I would text her, I would tweet her, and she'd give me an answer. And it was just like, no way. So, yeah, this is bananas. Yeah, I did a lot of SQL, a lot of SQL. Group bys are nuts when you start to get into SQL. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. I think I was experimenting with a blue hoodie, and I realized that black color is best for yeah. We did Pygame a lot. God, 4 years ago, 8,500 subscribers. Sliding window. Oh my God, I love that. I love that. Sliding window. So it was a pointer and a double pointer. I just love algorithmic design. I cannot do that. New job update. Yeah. Okay. I've rambled on for an hour and a half. What infinity starting point? I remember that so much. Jumping static, a static window. The length is the same. Unit testing. I hate unit testing. I absolutely hate it. But it's important. Sorting a string. Channel memberships. Did I create channel memberships? God, maybe I did. All right. Been on an hour and a half. What questions might anyone have right now? Because we're going to be focused on transitioning careers, learning SQL. What do jobs and pipelines do in Databricks? We're going to talk about GitHub. Because when you get into, no pun intended, when you're working with huge, large data sets, you are going to be working with a code base, and you're going to need to know how to operate. And then, because we have Azure, oh my gosh, Azure Data Lake, and then we have Azure Databricks sitting on top of Azure Data Lake. So we're using Azure DevOps and to control our environments, and then we deploy through all of those techniques to deploy them into the Data Lake. And then we have Databricks sitting on top of it, and we also you utilize Lakeflow connectors. Yeah, it's just bananas. So we use medallion architecture. So what is medallion architecture? We're going to talk about that. Changing careers, how to get noticed. I mean, just be good, just care. That's probably the simplest but hardest thing to do. Just care and do a good job. Just care and do a good job, and you're better than 50% of the people out there. And don't get distracted. That's it. Don't get distracted. Don't allow yourself to get distracted. So, all right, we have had, I think this was a great start. So I was back on for an hour and a half. I was later than I wanted to by probably an hour. Yeah, it's getting late here. I need to go to, we're going to talk about, then we're going to incorporate jujitsu. Probably going to drive everybody nuts with that. Let's see. New look. What do you think? Green screen. What is this when I started the green screen? Maybe so. Oh my God. This is nuts. Okay. Pose any question. Oh yeah, what does the algorithm cost? I cannot believe that we're not talking more about SHA 256 and who created it. Actually, maybe I don't want to say this on the internet. Okay. Code Yeah, here we go. Code courses. Free code camp. That was it. Oh my God, I completely forgot that. Free code camp. That was probably 6 years ago. Oh my gosh, I almost did it. 6, 7. Sorry. I don't think I've done that yet, but I still do that. 94 videos of 1,000 or more. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my God. Okay. All right. I've got to do this. I want to see my top views. So I have, how many do I have over 10,000 views? 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. Okay. 1, 2, 3. It's 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 videos with over 10,000. That's just nuts. That's nuts. How many do I have? How many total views do I have? Hang on a second. I want to see how many total views I have on the entire channel, and then I'll let everybody go. Lifetime. Smells like something's burning. Lifetime. 1.1 million. I have 1.1 million total views. That's nuts. All right, everybody. Let's see. Never mind. Oh, I know what it is. Okay. But CVS, what I want people to know how to do is just think, write good queries, answer good questions, and be able to validate it and prove that they're right. That's it. And then you can take that skill. Like I was just having this discussion with one of the reporting directors at work yesterday. Yeah, because I was off today. Most of my job is just problem solving, and that's it. And it's because of 49 years of walking around. I'm not smart. I'm smart on accident because I care. I work really hard, and I don't get distracted with non-evidence. That's what I want to say. Whoa, my wife's burning some incense and it's getting pushed through the whole house. It's nuts right here. All right. So I'm going to let everybody go. Glad everybody showed up today. Thank you for showing up today. And I need to work on the RGB of my coloring. So I will work on that. I wonder if I turn this down some. Let's experiment before we end. Let's see. How's that look? Let me go over here. Oh, that's more red. See, it starts to get good, and then let's see. How's that? I don't know. All right. We can experiment, but go back over here. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I know some of you are up super late, so go get some rest, and maybe we'll do it all tomorrow. But we will start be doing more of this going forward. But thank you, everyone, and it'll be a lot more structured and organized. But all right, Everybody have a great night. Get some rest. Thanks. Bye.